Wonderful. So I just wanted to thank you both again for joining me on this glorious Saturday to discuss all things Love is Blind, Season 7, DC. So I know this previous season, this most recent season was very entertaining, but personally speaking, also damning, as I felt like there were a lot of really dynamic storylines. And so I know that, the both of you also get to do this work, the work of relationship and family and marriage counseling. So if you could just tell folks a little bit about what each of you do, that would be great. And then we can, get right into the discussion.
Sure, I can start. Well, thank you so much for having us, Ariam. It's wonderful to be here. And as Love is Blind fans, I think this is a great opportunity to share some thoughts we've talked about behind the scenes and put it out there. My name is Marjan Modaresi. I'm a first-generation Iranian therapist. I'm located in Los Angeles, but I provide telehealth to all California residents. And I primarily work with BIPOC, first-generation adults, and I work with individuals and couples and a lot of children of immigrants.
Beautiful. Yeah, I should also, share that I'm first generation Eritrean American as well. And so I do appreciate you bringing in bringing in those identities to this space, and also sharing a bit more about what you do. Talia, I'll let you take it away.
Yeah, I'm Talia Tzouris. I'm a registered associate marriage and family therapist. I work with couples, individuals, families, primarily with the LGBTQ population. I work with a lot of polyamorous couples, E&M, all different sorts of things. Again, I also see clients mostly virtually in the state of California.
Nice. Okay. Wonderful. So yeah, we're just gonna, dive right into it, with the time that we have today. So I was thinking of just going, couple by couple. I know that this past season of Love is Blind, we saw 6 couples make it out of the pods, but only 2 made it down the aisle. So just wanted to go couple by couple. And I think we can start off with probably Taylor and Garrett, being that I think they brought on the least drama. I mean, they definitely had some things, happen in their relationship. It certainly wasn't perfect. But this is one of the 2 couples that chose to say I do, and we saw on the reunion this past Wednesday that they're still together. And so either of you can take this question, but I just wanted to ask, what do you think worked about Taylor and Garrett?
Talia, do you want to go for it?
Yeah. I mean, even from back in the pods, I feel like they did a really good job of learning about each other, about their inner worlds, their dreams, their goals, their worries. Um, I also think that they did a really good job at nurturing fondness and admiration for each other. I think that they responded well to bids for attention. Um, I think that they were able to respond effectively to each other's needs, right? When they had difficult conversations, they were receptive to each other. It came from a place of compassion and kindness and a desire to understand, rather than a place of like defensiveness, and contempt. I think that worked really well for them.
Thank you for that. Marjan, did you want to add anything?
Yeah, I mean, I think Talia put it really well. And just to add on to that, I think, like you said, there was definitely a lot less drama with this couple right off the bat. They had a really good conversation. Even with the reveal, it was pretty obvious that they had really good chemistry. They liked what they saw, and they were into each other. And then to see them make it out of the pods, go to Cabo, come back. And I think it was around that Gatsby party where, you know, it was revealed that Garrett's ex had messaged him. And we kind of see, you know, Taylor, they had, you know, had a discussion about this, Taylor being upset. And I think that was really the moment where they like honed in on them and was like, yeah, this is a kind of a big deal, which yes, it was. But I think the part that Taylor had the most problem with was the fact that information was, you know, hidden from her and it was slowly revealed. And the part where I think it really worked for them is that even when they had rupture, which is natural, it's part of any relationship, they still repaired. They respectfully repaired. We saw Garrett take accountability, like, yeah, there's nothing else I can say about this. I made a mistake. I should have never kept this from you. And then to reveal it in front of other people rather than in private before the party, he took accountability. They communicated respectfully, and then they repaired and they were able to move on. And I think just being on the same page throughout most of a relationship, being communicative, again, taking accountability was a huge part of what worked for them.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really digging what both of you are saying, and I do hear where you're coming from. I think what struck me about Taylor and Garrett was that, yes, you know, it was obvious that they hit it off from the beginning, but their relationship wasn't perfect by far. Marjan, you brought up the incident at that party where Taylor said that he Garrett said that he only liked a text message from, you know, an ex-partner, and later on revealed that it was actually more than just him liking the message. So I think that in this day and age where, you know, I think a lot of us do feel like perhaps sometimes it seems like people can walk away very easily from one another. And so, you know, the words that you both brought up, repair, communication, rupture, um, this is all natural, as you both say, and it's okay. It's okay to have imperfect moments in a relationship, but I think what worked for them was their ability to work through those issues. And, you know, as we'll discuss a bit more in the next few minutes, that wasn't the case with some of the other couples. So I did also, you know, I wanted to, would like to go to the next couple. So Monica and Steven, this was one of the couples that made it out of the pods, but did not complete the experiment, I should say. So weeks into the experiment, they called it quits because Monica had found that her then fiance Steven was texting someone while he was at a sleep study. I think for me, Monica is an interesting character because in the pods, I felt like she really led with her heart. Felt like she was very vulnerable. She said things that were relatable. You know, she said, I'm 36 and, you know, I've seen so many of my friends get married. I've seen so many of my friends reach these milestones. And sometimes it is really challenging to sort of see that, because at the same time, while I am happy for them, you know, I also want my love story as well. And so I was here for Monica. I really wanted Monica to win. I wanted, you know, everyone to win. I thought Steven was also genuine. But I noticed that once they got out of the pods, the edited version that we saw of Monica was her almost speaking to Steven in a way that I felt like wasn't respectful. And maybe that's a little subjective. Maybe that's just my opinion. But, you know, there was the thing with the flowers and her sort of bringing it up that, you know, she wanted him to get her flowers. And, you know, there was mention of like a name brand bag, you know, that she wanted. And sometimes it felt like Steven couldn't satisfy her, or at least that was the sense that I got. And so I wanted to ask you both, where do you think Monica and Steven went wrong in their relationship?
That's a great question. I think we lost Mirjan for a minute. Hopefully she joins us again.
Yes.
Um, but where they went wrong, a big part of it is what happened at that sleep study, right? And the text message. But even before that, I think that there was issues in the relationship. Glad you joined us back, Mirjan. We were just talking about Monica and Steven and where they went wrong in the relationship.
Yeah, thank you, Talia. I'm so sorry. I lost power for some reason, so I just decided to join via my phone and make it work regardless.
Thank you for your flexibility. Yeah, I was actually just sending you an email, so I'm great that you're back on the call.
I'm wondering, Mirjan, where do you think they went wrong in the relationship with Monica and Steven?
Monica and Steven. Yeah, I would say with them, there were definitely a lot of moments where it was like, they have like a good relationship, they have good communication, some of the main parts that a relationship should have, they had it. And slowly it came to a point where they came out of the pods and we see Monica say, I remember you saying to me in the pods, like you would buy me flowers like on a weekly or surprise me. And I haven't seen that. And um we see him take accountability again in that moment, which I think accountability was a huge part for a lot of people and not some other people, which I'm sure we'll get to. But he takes accountability. Yeah, you're right. I should have bought you flowers. He communicates, he takes accountability, and he apologizes, which I think are huge. But what I also do think needs to happen after an apology is change behavior, because apologizing without change behavior doesn't really mean much. You can only apologize so many times. And I think it got to a point where he would take accountability, he would apologize, but it still was the same behavior. And then of course we see him in some ways, I would say, self-sabotage and ruin a relationship that was going well. And he had mentioned in the past that this is something he had done. He said it to Monica in the pod. And I saw in the reunion her saying, well, maybe it wasn't a green flag, but it wasn't a green, like a red flag either, which I don't know. I would say that is a red flag, but is it to a point that you don't give the person a chance? Maybe not. But what I noticed is that he self-sabotaged, and it was a relationship. It was going well, and he was like, "Oh, I'm getting too close. It's too good to be true. Let me go do this other thing." And it was really interesting because it was only an emotional cheating. Like he didn't actually physically go out there. An opportunity presented itself, and he was like, "Why not? Let me take it." Right. And again, we see him when they are having a discussion, take accountability again, apologize. Yeah, there's nothing. I'm ashamed of myself. But there's not much more to it. Of course, we don't get to see where he is now, like in detail, and what he's doing with his life. But I just did it. I felt like he was like the same person throughout that he said he was going to be.
Yeah, Talia, I know that you wanted to say a few words as well. So happy to hear your thoughts too.
Yeah, I think when it comes to Monica and just going back to the thing about the flowers and the bags, um, I think superficial stuff aside, I think that was a bid for love and a bid for attention and coming back to like love languages. Um, Talking about what a person needs to feel loved and wanted and desired. I think she did a good job of identifying her needs and expressing it. Um, and I don't think Stephen was really listening to that wholeheartedly. Um, yeah, so I think uh yeah, she expressed her needs and it wasn't met, superficial or not. That was something that she was needing in the relationship to feel wanted and desired.
Yeah, these are all wonderful points that I'm noting. Um, Again, self-sabotage, is something that you both have brought up. Love languages, that's super important. Um, just zooming out here a little bit, I wonder if either of you could take a moment to share how that sort of comes up in the relationships of the individuals that you counsel. Is self-sabotage something that, you know, quite a few people do, or a lot of people do? Do either of you think that people even know, you know, what their love languages are? Talia, I know you said that Monica um had love languages that she had identified and was expressing to Stephen, regardless of sort of how she was conveying them. So yeah, my two questions are like, how does that come up in, you know, the sessions that you have with clients? You know, this issue of self-sabotage in relationships, of wow, this is the person that I've always wanted to be with, or this person carries the characteristics of someone I want to be with. Is this too good to be true? And also love languages.
Yeah, I can definitely touch on the self-sabotage piece. I think it comes up a lot with individuals and couples that I work with. Because when you self-sabotage, you are taking control of the situation and you know exactly how it's going to play out. It's familiar to you, even if it's to your own detriment and it's not going to benefit you, you know exactly how it's going to play out. It's probably also not something that's your first time doing it. It's a learned behavior that's, again, benefited you in some.
Oh, I think Marjan is frozen for me, as she is for you too, Talia.
Yeah, I think
Work out for the long term.
Yeah, we got her back. Sorry, Marjan, can you hear us?
Yes, now I can.
Okay.
It looks
Oh,
like
wonderful.
I lost you there for a second.
Yeah, you froze for a bit there, but the last
I'm
thing.
truly sorry. This is, of course. Yeah.
No, that's okay.
I was talking about how it helps them take control of the situation and helps them really predict the outcome, even if it's to their own detriment.
Got it. Yeah, that all makes a lot of sense. And Talia,
Yeah, I think a lot of times also, I don't know if there's a delay, but one last thing, I think a lot of times also people like react in that moment, rather than wait, reflect on what's happening, and then respond accordingly. They tend to quickly jump into conclusions or just, you know, really give a.
no, she dropped out. But to just expand on what she was saying for a minute, I know she said that a lot of people self-sabotage because it's comfortable. It's serving them in some way. And so um, I think your question was like with regard to counseling, how does that play out?
Right.
Um, you know, we really help people to evaluate their underlying motivations, right? Why are you doing what you're doing? Is this serving you or is it not serving you? How has it served you in the past? And how is it not serving you in the present? What do you want to change, adjust, to move forward and have healthy relationships?
Yeah, that's huge. I don't know if I've heard anyone, you know, share this before, but what I'm hearing is that self-sabotage is really about taking control of a situation where you feel like you don't have any, or you feel like you are losing control, because it benefits you in some way. Perhaps one benefit could be that you end up not getting hurt, or you end up not getting hurt as bad, or you think, you know, you won't be affected by the relationship. And so I really do appreciate you, both you and Marjan, sharing that. I'll just send her a quick email just to see how she's doing, you know, with her connection, and with her devices and all that. But given the time that we had, I also wanted to talk about the next couple. So this is Alex and Tim. Alex and Tim, I would say, oh, Marjan, we have you back.
Yes. Wow.
It's all
I'm
good.
here.
Yes, you're here and that's all that matters. Thank you for, doing your best to stay plugged in. I totally understand how it is with technical issues, being on Zoom. If it helps to also turn off your camera for a little bit, that's fine. Got it. So I did want to talk a bit about Alex and Tim, who, So I think Alex and Tim is a really interesting couple because it seemed that their shared core value was family. It seemed like that was something that they had talked about from the very beginning. Tim opened up about losing both of his siblings and having, little brother energy, and he's very fond of siblings and his parents. And I know that he holds them dear to his heart. Alex as well has a lot of love for her family, and we were even able to meet her father, to see him on camera, despite, the health challenges that he has. And so I did feel like both of these individuals, both Tim and Alex, knew how important family was to them. And it felt like the one of the biggest issues and I guess reasons why they split was because Tim felt like he wasn't getting as much from Alex in the relationship as he was giving. Although while that certainly could have been his truth, for Alex, it could have just been a perception that wasn't complete and full. I think a lot of fans were kind of upset when Tim decided to break up with Alex just days after meeting her parents. By that time, Alex had met Tim's parents as well. We know that Tim also read a letter to Alex's father asking for his blessings to marry his daughter, his little girl. And it brought him to tears. And, it was a really heartfelt moment. But yeah, I just think that it really put a bad taste in a lot of folks' mouth when we saw, I guess, how quickly he was able to walk away from that. And so, there's a lot of details that we can parse through here. But I think in thinking about this couple, I wonder, was it more of a respect thing? Did either Tim and Alex or both of them feel like they weren't being respected in the relationship? Because we also know that they had a big blow up in Mexico. That wasn't aired, but we did see them try to piece things back together after that. So what do you think was the real issue here from both of you?
I was really disappointed that this couple didn't work out. I had so much hope in them in the beginning. And um, especially after the conflict in Mexico, I thought they did a really good job of repair. I think Alex needed some space and didn't know how to ask for it. So she ended up shutting him out and kind of stonewalled him. And then there was like a bid for attention from Tim that wasn't, that she didn't take up. I think Tim apologized and I think he felt disrespected. He voiced his feelings. She took accountability for her part in it. Um, I was really disappointed they didn't work out.
Yeah, me too. um, Marjan, what do you make of Tim and Alex?
Yeah, same here. I think there was definitely, I could see moments of disrespect. Of course, we don't see like the entire thing, but I remember this one specific scene when they were in their apartment, I believe, and Tim wanted to speak with her. I think this is the part where he broke up with her and she was trying to warm up food and she was like, well, I haven't eaten all day. Can you let me eat? And he was like, or like, do you want to talk right now? And it was like, well, I want to talk right now.
And I felt like there was communication, but maybe not in the best way, just because I felt like they were not on the same page. Like, you want to have this deep conversation, but she hasn't eaten yet. And I don't know about you, but if I haven't eaten, like, please do not talk to me. It's probably not going to go well. And I would like take that space, excuse myself, like, hey, I would acknowledge, I understand that this is important to you and I want to hear you out. And would it be okay with you if I just take 5 minutes, get some food in me, and then I think we can have a better conversation, right? Even if it was going to end, I think I would just have more patience for it, right? And then we see it in the reunion where when each of them are talking, they just go back and forth to the point that I think it was Vanessa Lachey who was like, "You all figure this out outside of this, because now this whole reunion became about the two of you," right? So it sounds like after that breakup, neither of them spoke, which again, lack of communication. But some people need their space. I understand that. And a lot of people meet afterward to kind of like hash it out. So like they don't bring it all back on TV, and they came back, hadn't seen each other. So of course, like their cups were really, really full and it spilled all over the floor, right, of the reunion. And you can see again, like some of the disrespect happening there, where when each of them are talking, they let each other off, and then they're like shaking their head, or at some point, I think it was Tim who was kind of like laughing and kind of like, when you're talking and you're sharing how hurt you were or trying to voice your concerns, and someone gives you that kind of facial expression. Of course, they were sitting on opposite sides of a couch, but I imagine an actual couple sitting, facing each other, and one of them is laughing in the other person's face. Like, at that point, I would shut down and not want to continue. Like, no matter what I say, you're not really listening to me. You're just waiting. You're not listening to actually hear me and understand me, but you're hearing me out so you can respond, right? And that's something we often discourage clients, especially couples, doing, because again, it just becomes this like tit for tat type of thing, rather than I'm actually here, I want to hear you out, and I want to understand where you are coming from, not just because I want to get my point across. And I feel like there was a lot of that in their relationship where they weren't really understanding each other.
Definitely. I mean, all of that is received. It did feel like they hadn't spoken to each other at all, since they wrapped up taping. And I hear that the reunion is about a year out from the end of the show. And so wow, that's still a lot of feelings to have about a previous relationship, even a year out, to the point where, they were starting to talk over one another during the reunion. So yeah, it's clear that it doesn't seem like they'll sort of ever, get on the same page. But anything can happen. I think it's always important to keep a positive mindset. And hopefully with both of them reflecting on their experience as Love is Blind contestants, they could get to a place of peace about that relationship, so that it doesn't affect their future relationships. So I know that with these last 15 minutes, we have a few more couples to get through. And so couple number 4, this couple's relationship was probably the most volatile this season. And it's no surprise that we're talking about Nick and Hannah. I hear that Hannah is getting bashed, online, for people's perception that, she's super tough on Nick, and she calls it, being direct and blunt and straightforward, and that is her truth. And I think what makes reality TV so fascinating to watch is because there's probably a little bit in all of us in these characters. And I can't imagine how much pressure it must be on the individual to see themselves on television and to be scrutinized for this very real, vulnerable, raw, and honest honest time in their lives. So I'm sure it's not easy. But we did see Hannah on the reunion stage doubling down on how she came off and how she, you know, related to Nick in their relationship. We do know that she made comments that would probably wear on anyone's patience. You know, she even said, I turned you from a boy into a man. And she told her mom that her and Nick weren't on the same level intellectually. And even though, you know, Nick is far from perfect, as none of us are, I do believe that he was just mistreated by Hannah. Why, you know, why he allowed himself to be mistreated, only he can answer that. And perhaps that's also just a little bit of my subjectivity. Because Hannah did reveal some things about Nick on the reunion special, some things that he had said about her to others early on in the relationship. So I was wondering if either of you could shed light on some of the dynamics that we saw in this relationship and why you think it played out the way that it did.
Yeah, I think from the moment they met in person, Hannah was acting with like an attitude of superiority, right? Contempt. And that is one of the real kickers in a relationship is contempt and resentment. And we really saw that brew between this couple. Also, I just, for the record, like I'm not a Hannah hater. I love a strong, independent woman. But I was disappointed by the lack of accountability, right? When she really doubled down on everything that she did, and how she treated him. Um, because I think a lot of us were feeling um empathetic for Nick, right, in his situation. Why did he stay? Why do people stay in relationships like that? I think is a great question. And I won't get into that, but I think that, definitely the contempt and resentment that brewed in that relationship was the downfall of it.
Yeah, and I think it's similar to what I was saying earlier, where, accountability, part of it was there. Like she was taking accountability. Yes, I am a direct person, but there was never in that reunion an apology for Nick. Like, sorry for the way I treated you or the way that I spoke to you. And, I consider myself a direct person. And I think being direct versus being mean or being brutal is different, right? Like saying, "Oh, you were a boy, and I turned you into a man." I think this whole time she was expecting something else or someone else, and she wasn't getting that, right? They came from very different backgrounds. One, her being very independent, him still living with his parents, and that's just what not she was expecting. And but she wanted him to become that person overnight, which I don't think can really happen. So I would say there was kind of a misalignment in values and expectations since day one. Um, and of course, we only see so much from the behind the scenes and the pods, but some of that was communicated, right? Like where he's been, being an athlete, like not really having his own place. And, for that to be held against him, I didn't think was fair.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I feel like there was actually a lot of resentment from Hannah's end. And it was so interesting. There was this one scene where Hannah even said to her parents, and this was the scene where Hannah had introduced Nick to her parents. So then I think he stepped away, he stepped out of the scene, and she was conversing with her folks, and she said, "Aren't you guys going to grill him?" And they said, "No, you're doing that on your own. Why do we need to grill him?" And a part of me felt like, gosh, maybe Hannah just wants someone to have her back, or wanted her parents to have her back in that moment. Or for me, it just felt like Hannah always had a chip on her shoulder. And I know that she talks about sort of being on her own since she was 18. And you know, feeling very financially empowered because of life circumstances. So I felt like there was something there, you know. I do feel like Hannah is a very complex character. So yeah, that was just a really fascinating relationship dynamic to see. Um, all right. So we're down to two couples. So again, just wanted to thank you both for sharing this space with me. I'm loving all of the feedback that you are providing. Our audiences, you know, over at URL Media will definitely appreciate your insights, your unique insights and perspectives as people who work in marriage and therapy counseling. So down to the last two couples. Now, Marissa and Ramses was another couple who made it out the pods, but did not walk down the aisle. I was actually really hurt for the both of them because I was rooting for them both. You know, the chemistry was undeniable from the very beginning, and things were looking like they were going well. But then also in hindsight, just processing what a lot of us saw in the conversations that they had about Marissa's military background, and even the conversation that they had about contraception. From Marissa's mom, sort of being this very strong mama bear figure. I'm just curious to know from both of you, was this relationship doomed from the beginning? Because I was honestly pretty surprised.
I wouldn't say it was doomed from the beginning, but I would say that there was a misalignment in values. And that at the foundation is not necessarily like the nail in the coffin, right? But is definitely like a big issue. It's an ongoing problem that you're going to have to accommodate for within the whole span of a relationship.
Yeah, I
But the
agree with Talia.
sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, I agree with you. I don't think it was doomed, but I do think there was definitely a misalignment. And it was clear, like you said, Ariam, that they had a really great amount of chemistry. They had a lot of love for each other. And I think that's what carried them along, and maybe they closed their eyes on a lot of deeper issues, like for example, Ramses's issue with the fact that Marissa had served and telling her friends, if she were to go back, I don't think this is what would work out. And I remember thinking in that to myself in that moment, like, how is it that her going back would be an issue? She is the same person. That's something that she values. She served her country, like she's contributed. And why is it that, like, she is still that person whether she is serving or not? And that's something that she values, and you don't see it that way, and you have an issue with that. So how can this work out? And you're going in with the idea that, hey, as long as you don't go back and serve, we're good, right? Like, I can marry you and I can love you and respect you, but as soon as you go back to serve, like, we're over. I don't know, that just didn't seem like, again, they were on the same page about that. I think, again, the love that they had for each other really carried them through, and they were trying to see past these things, but they were really core issues. And again, misalignment in values. And I don't think, him saying, oh, she just had too much energy. Well, she had so much energy, like, the whole time. That was kind of her personality. That's her character. And again, shouldn't be something that's used against someone. And I think Nick Lachey even, like, jumped in and was like, hey, like, you're a great person. Please don't feel bad for who you are. Right. And wanting to kind of, like, protect her. But I do think that was maybe the tip of the iceberg. And there were a lot of other things happening underneath that maybe he was unwilling or comfortable to share.
Yeah, I mean, I hear you both here when you say that they were misaligned in values. I too didn't feel settled with the feedback that Ramses gave Marissa about her energy being off-putting. I don't think that was the word he used, but it just felt like there was something deeper that he probably couldn't articulate at that time. So that was unfortunate. But yeah, I mean, this season was really powerful, in that there were so many different dynamics. And one couple, our final couple, who actually did say I do, and still appear to be together based on what we saw on the reunion, is Ashley and Tyler. So one thing that I'll say about this couple is I think, Tyler not divulging the fact that he helped a friend who was a part of a same-sex couple conceive children, sets a dangerous precedent for their relationship. But somehow they've managed to work through it and to stay together. There's been a lot of information circulating on the internet about how much information how he deceived Ash, how Tyler deceived Ashley, and how much more of a relationship he actually does have with the children that he helped his friend conceive. So just wanted to get your final thoughts on this couple. And, I don't really have any question for them. Just overall, what do you think about Ashley and Tyler and their future?
I felt really conflicted about the whole sperm donor conversation, especially as a queer person who is planning on using a sperm donor one day. I would never want that to happen to the person who donates their sperm, to be seen as, as their children. But at the same time, it was a friend and there was some kind of involvement there. It should have been disclosed. I think it's just a really it's a gray area. Um, but yeah, I don't think it was fair to the friend or to the kids that this got brought up. I heard that their like birth certificates were put on the internet and all of that, which is just awful. Um, so I am sad that their privacy wasn't protected. Um, I'm sad that it, kind of brought up, it was kind of used against Tyler. Um, I think it's a really beautiful thing that he did, but also something that should have been discussed, right? And again, it's a gray area because it's not really his kids. And I think the way that it was kind of explained was like, oh, he has 3 kids. He's a sperm donor, as if he's a dad. And he's not a dad. That's not his role. So I don't, that's just kind of my hot take on that.
Yeah, and I agree with you, Talia. I think, like you said beautifully, like it is a gray area. There were so many layers to this, and we won't really know. The only people who really would know are Tyler, the mom, and eventually Ashley. And truly Tyler knowing what kind of a role did he play or does he play in these children's lives, right? Like what Talia was saying, I don't think he is a dad, although I remember seeing a picture of him wearing like matching pajamas and it says something like best dad in the world or something like that. I don't know, because again, like we've obviously never seen these kids and I hope it doesn't get to that point. But do these children refer to him as dad? What role does he really play? Because I think if he was just an anonymous sperm donor, never met the kids, doesn't know who he donated to, that would be a completely different story, and those kids wouldn't be considered his kids, right? The actual parents raising the kids. So I think it also goes back to the question of like, do you refer to a parent who raised you or the one who just pretty much like, you like gave you your genes and biology? Like, who is the true parent here? And I don't know the extent of the role that Tyler plays in these children's lives. But something that I don't notice was in the reunion, Ashley really sticking by Tyler's side and being like, I knew about this. He was transparent. We had a lot of conversations about this, and I'm going to stick by him regardless. The only thing I would hope is that they continue to have these open and honest conversations, and she's not sticking by someone regardless of the mistakes that he makes. Doesn't close her eyes to everything that he does, and they just continue to communicate.
Yeah, well said to the both of you. And I love the question that you both pose of who is considered a parent? Is it someone who is there for you? Someone who is not only a caregiver, but also an individual who can guide you through life or through as much life as there on earth to do that for. And who is not a parent. I think you both bring really strong perspectives to this couple's dynamic. And yes, I mean, I do wish them both really well. It seems like there is a lot of love there. Seems like they've already developed a lot of loyalty for one another. I did notice that Tyler, had gotten a bit emotional on stage, and Ashley seemed, to be his rock there by his side. And so I hope that they can continue to move forward in a healthy way. And either of them aren't just staying with each other to sort of act in defiance of what the internet or what their close friends and loved ones think, but that they're there because they're choosing to be there and to support one another. So yeah, I mean, that looks like all the couples that came from this wonderful season of Love is Blind. I actually think that it was probably the most entertaining season yet, and the fact that it was in DC, I haven't shared this, but I am a DC resident. So that just made it really, really interesting. I actually ended up spotting Nick last weekend on my way to a yoga class. So it's kind of cool, when you watch people on TV and then see them in real life. So yes, thank you so much for your time on this wonderful Saturday. Were there any words, departing words that you wanted to share in this space?
No, just want to thank you for giving us this opportunity and allowing us to discuss this together.
Yeah, just want to say, huge fan of the show. Thank you so much for having us on. And Marjan and I are both taking on new clients too. If you like what we said and you'd like a new therapist.
Love it. Yes, absolutely. And I hope that it's, and I'll put this in writing as well. I'll certainly follow up with you after the call in the coming days, but I hope that it is okay to use your name, in our social media post once we do sort of edit this conversation and share it online with our audiences.
Yes, of course. And if there's any other information you need, like our website or, Instagram, we both have professional Instagram pages. Please let us know.
Will do. Yes, I'll definitely be in touch so that I can get those handles. Definitely want to tag you and make sure that you're credited for just the wonderful commentary that you were able to bring to the discussion. Thank you so much. Have a blessed Saturday and weekend. I will talk to you very soon, Talia and Marjan. Nice meeting you both.
Nice meeting you too. Thank you so much.
Nice meeting you too as well. Bye.
Okay.